I've seen that because he's like, you know, grandma's here talking jutsu, but it fails. Yeah, he's like, I haven't taught my grandboy now, and it's like, no, F you, woman. It just makes him angrier. You got a goddamn shit code though, yeah, like he's just like, haha, I got 2 souls. You can't defeat this. But I mean, honestly, Deku isn't doing much. No, he's being carried. Deku is like hardcore carried, but having like more than 2 people side of me. Like, I got 7 souls with me, yeah. Deku's like, haha. Grandma, Nana is back, yeah. Again, like, you know, Nana is ripped, man, yeah. Hot as a grandma in anime. Yeah, she's a very, very muscular granny. So what episode, right? What's his mental fight? Like him saying, my favorite part definitely was when she was losing, right? She's losing the fight eventually. He's like, Tomura, right? And again, he's winning the fight. She's getting defeated by, I guess, the mental strength or whatever, right? Of of the evil side, so to speak. And then the brother also comes in, oh, I will also help you. And then they both stand there and do like this mental wave thing. And you're like, yes, that's true. Because I mean, at least I thought about that. Deku, yes. Deku has like, as we know, right? Deku has 7 quirks, right? Well, in that kind of whole thing, right? You know, he's inherited all the powers. So he at least has like, what, 6 more souls in him, right? Otherwise isn't dead yet or something. It's like 6, 7 souls. So it's a little bit like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this like, you know, mental soul battle. Like, oh, Deku is like, I got like an army of souls here, so let's let's have this battle, right? But yeah, I find the most kind of, it's kind of a weird scene, right? You know, he's going kind of crazy over them. But the issue though, I wish this thing. It reminds me a little bit of Naruto, right? I was spoiled too much, but I'm talking about Naruto when he meets his, parents and so on. So minor spoiler, but yeah, and the whole soul thing, Cupid, all stuff, right? A little bit like that. But of course, that Shigaraki is like, I hate you, grandma! This didn't go well. It wasn't that beautiful reunion, right? But he's like, oh my god, this is my grandma that I was wanting to meet. He's like, I want to murder you, grandma. So it didn't really go that well, right? No, yeah, it didn't really go that well for him. In that sense, right? Comparable to, older animes usually, when they meet their dead parents or dead grandparents or whatever. But that was kind of what was her strategy, really. Yeah, a little bit, right? Grandma is, living in Deku's soul kind of thing, right? She comes out to like, oh, let me talk to my grandson. It just makes it worse. So, I kind of like it. Yeah, I like it that it didn't work. She tried, think about it. Straight up, right? Granny tried to talk to jutsu, and it didn't work. Yeah, she talked to jutsu fails. Yeah, she was like, oh, this is my grandboy, I can talk to him down. Like, no, it didn't work. So that's pretty cute, I think about it. She failed, actually. Yeah, Deku just lying there on the ground, and the other 2 are basically, he's literally being carried, right? It's a game. Yeah, he's the useless support character. And they stand there like, and Deku doesn't do anything really. He's just like, oh, it's great to have at least a few people dead side of me. They can all help me out. No, but seriously, like he's being, I think to be fair, he's like 100% carried by his quirk in this fight, right? His own resolve and his own mental powers or whatever doesn't do anything, right? Like literally nothing. He's just kind of being silenced by the grab, right? And then he's like, here comes the 2 of the souls side of him and saves him, right? Kind of like when he won, of course, against Shinsho in the mental fight. Yeah, I mean, that is true, though. I mean, it definitely is built up, right, in the previous arc, because, of course, he couldn't be mind controlled, because he had, 7 people, awakening him, right, with the mental powers. And this is kind of the same thing, right? Yeah, he's grabbing him, it's like, oh, but I got the soul side of me, so you can't control me, because, yeah, I got the mental of more people, right? So it is the same thing, I guess, more or less, right? But I do think that one issue it has, though, as I mentioned in the last part, more so is that why aren't the older people also coming up, right? That is probably actually, I would say that I think that's pretty stupid, actually. Yeah, honestly. That feels like a plot hole almost straight up, right? I mean, sure, it is more emotional that his grandma being the first one, like, I will stop you, grandson, right? That makes sense. She's gonna be the first one to be, activated, right? Because she's the grandma. But of course, we have the other dead people right inside of Deku, and they don't show up. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. Why aren't they also like, oh yeah, let's fight him, mental fight? Because they all hate him, right? They all have this, like, we don't know exactly everyone's backstory, but they all have fought, of course, this person, right? So they all have this backstory with him, right? That we don't know yet, but they have a backstory, so to speak, right? So they should all come in there and be like, let's defeat him together. And of course, in the very last scene, they turn into this like star thing, like kind of in Sonic when he gets all the 7 Chaos Emeralds and turn into the Master Emerald. And kind of looks at that, yeah. And then they kind of defeat him, right? But still, they should probably pop up earlier too, right? I do think it's an issue that we don't see the other guys coming behind these two, right? They could have stood behind them, maybe in silhouette or something. But I think that would make us look definitely better if they had all kind of got in there behind them as well, like did the same thing. Because it's kind of weird they don't help out, right? Honestly. But anyway, yeah, they get free and Shigaraki looks like he's fine again. Man, Shigaraki's imba, man. Shigaraki's imba, holy shit, yeah. But it's gonna be the fire, but that's right. Now then, let's talk about Toga-chan. It's trap ever though, holy shit. Holy shit, Urakara-chan, it's the obvious trap ever. It's a Yuri trap. Oh! I'm only one. I read too much hen stuff, I feel. Rule 34 is gonna come from this. I'm sorry, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. My brain is a gutter trash brain. My gutter trash brain. Yeah, my gutter trash brain. When I see this scene, I'm like, ooh, people are gonna have fun with this, and then you see this. But I listen though. Why does you speak of float though? I wish this thing though. She grabs her hand, it's making a float. She goes to float the whole house, right? Yeah, but it's kicking away, Urakara, kicking away. Or maybe she likes it. Toga-chan, yeah, Toga-chan of course comes in, right? Whatever, you can be here then. Toga-chan, oh, bad box. Yeah, that's bad. We should put that. Toga-chan, you can be in there. Toga-chan can come in, right? Best girl as we know it. I mean, the scene must be funny, I think. Yeah, the scene was pretty funny. Let me put that. The Toga scene was pretty funny. She just kind of like pretends to be this grandma, right? I mean, I said it immediately. It's like, okay, the grandma is clearly Toga. And she's like, hey, Urakara-chan, wanna help me out in this dark alley over here? And she runs into the dark alley, right? And this guy follows her. And actually, it's the next dark alley. And it's like, it is abandoned house that looks completely abandoned. And it's completely dark. Let's go inside this house. You're like, oh God, Urakara. Like, Jesus Christ, it's obviously a trap. It was easier for us, the viewer. But still, though, it was very, very, like, extremely the horror tropey. Are we gonna go into this dark alley, dark house, in the dark alley, we don't like. Yeah, it was super absurdly, obviously, a trap, Urakara. But yeah, she gets into the trap, right? But honestly, the scene, I mean, of course it's about, because Urakara has to fight her, right? I got my resolve, I will go in there, I will duel you. But at the same time, it was a little bit like, she stood outside the house and was like, okay, she knew the truth. It was like, okay, let me follow her. She could have been like, maybe I actually don't follow you. No, but I mean, I wish they would use the quirks better, honestly, right? I'm very salty now. No, but I was like, I say also with Momo, but I was the last scene, I think she's floating the whole house, right? She's grabbing the ground and makes the house float. And what I'm thinking immediately, like even before the quirk, is that why doesn't she just float the house? From the outside, I mean, right? You know? If I had her powers, right? I wouldn't enter the house, because I know that, crazy girl Toga inside the house, right? I would touch the house wall and I would lift the house, and then I would make it fall, right? When she's inside the house, so she would take damage. I can fight her, outside the house, but I destroy the house with her inside of it, right? Which would often hurt her, and also give me more lightning, so she can't hide in the shadows in the house, because I just destroy the house. There's no reason to really, care about entering the house, so you can easily just destroy the house, right? That's one thing. I'm just like, why doesn't you just when you crash the house, right? So I'm a little bit like, I always feel they can use the quirks in a little more destructive way also. But also, like, why couldn't you do that thing before instead? Yeah, you don't have to enter the trap. You can like destroy the trap basically. But still, I'm happy to see kind of the best girl fight, right? They're gonna fight about Deku, right? Yeah, so was that. Toga is thirsty, man. Toga is goddamn thirsty. No, I love Toga, man. It's a good scene, then. But I think Urakara is lifting the whole house in the end, right? So she probably will do what I said, right? Like throwing the whole house with her inside of it, something. Probably. But she probably could have done it earlier. And also this here, she can also lift Toga here, though. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this scene was kind of weird, because look at it. She's grabbing Toga's hand, right? So why doesn't she lift her here? Why doesn't she send her up in midair? Instead of being stabbed by her, she can just, throw her away from her. But she doesn't activate the powers, but she's clearly touching Toga's hand, but she's grabbing her hand, right? So she can just like, can't she lift her? Or something, yeah. I was like, Toga's like, ha! You can't lift me now because I'm grabbing your hand. But she's like pushing away the other hand, the left hand. But the right hand is grabbing her. And Urakara isn't limited to only using one hand, right? Or is it both hands? No. It's like, well, it's kind of weird. I was like, you just lift her up. I was like, oh, I don't know. But anyway, I'm happy to see Toga-chan. Probably get some conclusion there. I think Urakara's trying to help her, right? Urakara's like, I will make you a good person in the end, something. Maybe Susan. Yeah, Susan was outside the dark alley, right? Yeah, she might jump in there. They might have a best girl fight, right? Perhaps. That. But anyway, guys, subscribe to like so much so you guys could tonight with Spy X Family. Probably Blue Lock. Maybe I have a call friends coming tonight. Probably won't do Blue Lock today. I don't have time for that. And I watch One Piece. One Piece I probably have time for that because it's out early tomorrow. But anyway, so you guys have a great day.